it's Alan at Hi-Fi Plus. We're here at Audio Note, and I'm speaking with Andy Grove, who's going to talk us through their new field coil loudspeakers.
This is the new Audio Note field coil loudspeaker. We're calling it the A&E Limited, similar to the IO Limited cartridge. The Limited meaning it's got a field coil and magnet in there. Normal speakers or non-field coil speakers have a permanent magnet in there. It's usually ceramic, Alnico, and some higher end speakers, or some of the modern speakers might have a rare earth magnet like neodymium or something. These two drivers here are electromagnets. It's kind of like a bit of a throwback to the earliest times when permanent magnets weren't available with sufficient power to make efficient drive units. But there are advantages to it. One of the main ones is that the magnetic flux in the gap, which is what the voice coil moves against when you put this Lorentz force, when you put current through the voice coil, it causes the it's due to electrons moving in the voice coil, causes a force on it. It's sort of called a BL product. But that magnetic field generated by the voice coil itself reacts with the magnetic flux which is in the gap generated by the magnet itself. So what you end up with is like the sum of the two, or so the voice coil modulates the gap flux, which is why you sometimes hear some drive units might have a demodulation ring, and it's that to cancel that out. But in effect, what the field coil has, because it's a huge, great copper coil and quite a low impedance power supply, it's doing the same thing. So what you end up with is a lower distortion because the flux is in the gap is lower, and better dynamic behaviour. So between soft and loud passages, it's much more even. And what's amazing, I think, about these speakers is that rather than when people talk about having detail, normally it sort of dumps on the plate in front of you sort of thing, or it leaps out, and it's like loud spiky treble, or it's pushed forward. But with this, there is more detail, but you can hear in. It's because there's like a layer of hash or mush has been sort of taken away, so they can hear in. So this kind of more detailed, but softer and more gentle at the same time. So they're pretty delicate, fantastic sound stage, everything that really makes a high-end speaker. At the moment, we've got, these are kind of like the pre-production or the first, last prototype before we go into pre-production models. So they've got a little bit of a mismatch in the finishes. This has been chromed, and that's some powder-coated stainless steel. And we did try all kinds of different materials for this tweeter plate, and the bronze, and stainless steel, aluminium, different plastics, etc., etc. And we modified the profile inside. We're still working on that a little bit, but as a compromise, this is a 304 stainless, and it's powder-coated. The aluminium one didn't sound quite as good. It's one of those strange things that the material, even though it must be moving by microns, you can still hear the effect of the aluminium. So we've gone for stainless steel on this. The bronze one was a little bit better. We might use that in a higher end model. And this is essentially the same basket that we normally use for all the Audio Note E's. But because the field coil magnet on the back is so big and weighty, it's got some reinforcement rings and things to sort of bulk it up a little bit. The power is by this little box down there. And it's quite efficient. I mean, you can feel the drive units are warm, but they don't get red hot. The prototypes, you could cook an egg on them, but these ones are, we've got the efficiency up. For the first production model, we'll have an internal crossover, but so we can play around with it and adjust values. We've got an external one, so you can go inside the box. But the first model will literally be one of these and a little power supply, so it's very compact for a field coil solution. Normally, field coil speakers are either like a single drive unit or they're big wall-to-ceiling jobs, aren't they?
So do you know when they're going to come to market, and do you know roughly how much they'll be?
Well, we're going to do the first pre-production run using the parts we've got, prototype parts or nearly into production parts. We're going to make like 5 pairs in the next month or so, and then the actual production is probably going to be September, I think. Realistically, that's when we're going to launch. We'll have everything and all the costings done and everything lined up, ready to go into production. Price is still a little bit up in the air. We're talking $30,000 or something, maybe a little bit more. That's kind of roughly where we're kind of looking to introduce them around there. Maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. But
Okay.
that's kind of what we're looking at.
Thank you very much.